on this Inside Water Moment, part 2 of our video interview with Brown head coach Felix Mercado. Coach Mercado discusses running a drop defense and highlights his 3 keys to a successful offense.
All right. Can you go into some detail about when and how to run a drop defense, and then which variation of a drop defense do you find to be most effective or most successful for your team?
I like to put pressure on the ball. I mean, that's the way I like to run it. But you do have to have the ability to drop because, we're playing against very good centers. There's a lot of good centers in our conference, and we have, we pride on our 2-meter defenders, being able to handle almost any situation, but everybody needs help. Everybody needs help guarding the perimeter. Everybody needs help guarding at 2 meters. So it's important to have your teams understand when to drop. I think I'm a firm believer that you really don't need more than one person to zone and drop because at least the goalie can focus on the ball. But a 2-person drop is probably, if I'm going to expand on that, I probably won't do more than a 2-person drop, and it'll probably be from either the 4-5 side or the 1-2 side. And as much as I wish I'm always looking to put it to drop off the worst possible perimeter shooters on the other team, in reality, you don't always control that because if the center does a good job of holding position and that team gets their best attackers on that side, you're going to have to be able to zone against the best. So the key here is movement. I think, in general, a lot of the stuff that makes for a good drop defensive team is the time you put in practice of coming over your hips. I think that's a lot of there's a lot of things that we as coaches tend to rush through because it's tedious, it's boring. Doing over the hip drills is not something that the athletes like to do and coaches like to watch. Just like again swimming, but this is something that it's more than muscle memory for whatever you want to use, but it's important for them to understand that defensively when they're in the zone, whether you're in a straight zone where you're not moving out or whether you're closing out, that you understand how you move and how you cover water, because the last thing you want to do is allow a shooter, especially a team's best shooter, walk into 4 meters and shoot it. You have to be able to put him down. So I think spending time, we do, part of my favorite shooting drill is a 2-3-4 rocker. We put the 3 people up top, and then we have 3 defenders, and their job is to zone, but they're coming in and out. So every time the person that's in front of them catches the ball, they're moving over their hips while the ball's in the air. So teaching them, don't move after they catch the ball. Move when the ball's in the air. That way you might be able to get there before they really have an opportunity to shoot. But also putting a center and a center defender behind the defender, so that they're also aware that they have a responsibility behind them. So they have shot blocking responsibility. They have to help at 2 meters, and they have to be able to move while the ball's in the air. And literally that's how we mostly work. While we're not a big drop defensive team, we basically are the drill that we do the most involves dropping and zoning, because I also think that 5-man, 6-on-5 and 5-man is such an important part of our game, that these are just skills that they'll do on 5-man as well. So you're teaching a skill that they can actually apply in different parts of the game, but you have to be able to put it in an environment where they actually understand why they're doing it, not just put an arm up. No, there's a reason. Are they at 7 meters? You don't go chase them. You just stay in your zone. If they get closer, you have to know how your body reacts to. I guess tactically, every defender's different individually. So if you have to know how much water you cover with each move right over your hip. So if you're guarding the best team's shooter and their center is a big threat, you need to know how much water you can actually cover, where you can go knock them down before they get a shot off, and to be able to recover in case the ball is being set. So moving without the ball is a very important skill when you're trying to run an effective drop defense. But you have to practice it. You can't just assume that they figure it out, because if you see in a game, the majority of the time a team's running zones, they're vertical. And if defenders are vertical, they're not going to be able to knock you down before you can get in a good position to set or shoot the ball. So you got to teach your athletes how to move in a zone, go over their hips and cover water as quickly and effectively as possible, and with also understanding they have a shot blocking responsibility.
What are 3 keys to a successful offense?
In my opinion, the three things that are important to have an effective offense. I think first, I think it's important to have a presence in front of the cage, whether it's a post up or whether it's a center, depending your tactics. But the closer you have a threat in front of the cage, it actually helps bring your offense closer to the cage, because the defenders, if they need to help, will have to get closer to the cage. So it brings everything closer. So I think that's important, the presence in front of a cage. I think, and the other couple things that are very important, I think, are at the end of the day are probably the most important, is your ability to pass and shoot. You know, I think that that's a skill that we don't spend enough time on, and so being able to make the right reads, knowing your body position when the ball's in your hand, you know, looking, being a threat, moving without the ball, you know, like offensively, whether it's not just driving down away from where your center presence is established to draw defenders, but also like to put yourself in a position to catch and shoot, or to catch and make an entry pass into 2 meters. And a skill that we try to work on as much as possible is putting yourself, always creating a passing lane and a shooting lane when you don't have the ball in your hand. So you're always kind of sliding left or right, because you're putting yourself in a position to attack whatever the defense you're trying to score on. I think those are important things, and as far as to have an effective offense, in my opinion.
A big thanks to Felix Mercado for setting aside time to chat with us.